Okay, so second thing we're going to talk about is processing. Processing is different from integration in that what happens is the brain uses the information from integration to make a decision. That in turn results in action.
It uses information from integration to what?
To effect or cause an action. And I cannot emphasize how important the two are together. Because when you're presented with a multitude of options, you get to make the executive choice which of those you pick. Memory and learning and experience all play a key role in this. Memory, learning, and experience. Sometimes it works against you. The example of the student I thought that didn't text me who actually had, and I didn't see that person's name because I was looking for capital letters. Because just about every person who uses their own name capitalizes it.
So Malachi did text you?
Yes, he did. I just didn't see it because I don't have y'all saved as contacts. I just see this stream of text. So I have to go back to the very beginning because I told y'all, tell me who this is and see who it is. So I scrolled all the way back up and I realized, oh, the reason I didn't realize it was him is because he didn't capitalize his name. But as Abby was currently explaining, your generation doesn't do that. And I understand why, because it's a fast, convenient, easy way for you to communicate. And that's where experience works against me, because my experience is not the same as yours. So don't think more experience is always better. Sometimes having a fresh perspective is an advantage. True or false, most of the physicists who have made the huge groundbreaking discoveries did so early in their career.
False.
Who says false? True. Believe it or not, almost all of the big ones did the work that earned them their Nobel Prize by the time they were 30. Einstein being a prime example. He died, I think he was 75, in 1955, he coasted. Notice I'm saying that. He published special relativity as either 1904 or 1905.
Was that considered like early in his career?
He would have been, if he died at 75 in 1955, he would have been 24 or 25 when he published it. There's a reason for that. The brain, and you definitely want to get this down, the brain is the last organ to finish developing. When I turned 25, I got my insurance bill for my car. I have the same car, same exact mileage, everything. And I used to pay it in 6-month installments, so I'd pay the next 6 months ahead. The bill that I got was about 40% of what it had been previously, meaning it was about a 60% reduction. So I immediately called my insurance agent because that's a concern, isn't it? You want to make sure you got car insurance. I'm like, if you've taken the collision off, I need to know. And she's looking at it and she can't figure it out. And she goes, oh, wait a minute. I see you bill in 6 months. I said, yeah, is this some new price structure? She said, have you had any major life events in the last 6 months? And I said, well, yeah, I got married. She goes, okay. And she said, and what's your age? I said, well, I'm 25. And she said, that's it. And I said, what? She said, last bill, you were an unmarried male under 25. Now you're a married man, over 25, 30% each. Why did I get so much off my insurance premium? It's because I was no longer considered an idiot. And I'm saying that somewhat snarkily, but
It's the
do you know what
truth,
group as a whole has the highest insurance premiums in existence?
16 to 25.
And males are higher than females. The reason, believe it or not, your brains are still developing. Did you know that? Your brains are not going to be fully developed until you're about 25. I think it's 23 for the women. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if this is accurate, but I saw it was on Grey's Anatomy, but it was where they took out half of a 3-year-old girl's brain because she had a tumor in it, and it was talking about how it's a lot easier for people that young to like regrow brain tissue.
They don't regrow brain
Not
tissue.
regrow, but it's like
But what they do is they form new connections. And you are entirely correct. I was actually going to be getting to that later on in this lecture. Good
because
job.
doesn't it just fill up with spinal fluid and it just
Mhm.
I thought it was really neat.
I did research on that, and it was a true story. It filled up with the fluid, and then the side of her brain that was still there took on all the other functions of her body.
That's awesome.
There's a lot of myths about the brain. Do y'all want me to cover a couple of them?
Sure.
You ever heard the phrase, you only use 10% of your brain? 100% grade A bull plop. It's garbage. You only use about 10% of your brain at any given time. But you use all of the parts or portions of your brain at some point. Do you see where this is? I have no idea where people got this 10% meant you only literally use 10% of this physical space in your brain. No. Phineas Gage, y'all ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Did I talk about him?
No, I've just heard about him before.
Phineas Gage was a man who lived in the 1850s, I think it was, and his job was a foreman on a railroad construction crew. Now, this is back in the first days of railroad. They still had steam. This is before the railroad back here got built. Didn't know that, did you? The only way to get a lot of rock out of the way to make those cuts through the mountain was dynamite, which had been recently invented. And what they would do is they would drill the hole, then they would put the dynamite back in, and they would use what they called a tamping rod to tamp it down. This particular tamping rod was about a meter or so, about that big around. Anyway, he was tamping this down and the dynamite went off. And unfortunately, he was standing right over it. The rod went straight up through his jaw, his eye, and out the top of his head. He had a meter of steel sticking through his skull from bottom to top. He didn't die. He actually lived for another 15 years or something like that.
Yeah, he was just basically a different person.
He what?
He was basically a different person.
He was a very different person. The reason, remember when I said we started talking about the brain, I said any kind of damage to the central nervous system is going to be undetermined effects. Remember I said that? So make sure you get that down if you haven't. 99 times out of 100 it would kill the guy. The 1%, who knows why he lived.
How did he change?
He basically lost all impulse control. And that means you don't say inappropriate things to people. He would say very inappropriate things to women. He might make inappropriate gestures, Before he was a very responsible man. He was a foreman. After this, he was late, drank a lot. You get the idea? The concept here has a name. It is called neurological plasticity. And this is exactly what you were describing, Abby. And Becca, the one you looked up, said it's a true story. This is exactly what happened. What it means, as long as the brain is still developing, it can essentially rewire itself. I don't know if we've got enough people here to do this. Do y'all want to try it anyway?
Yeah.
All right, everybody stand up and take a step back, a step or two back from the table. I want you to perform the action I'm going to tell you, and stop, and I want you to do it without thinking. Take one step forward. Okay, good. Which leg did you step forward with, Abby?
My left one.
Left.
Right.
Right. Left.
Right?
Left.
A lot more lefties than I thought. You're left-footed. Didn't know that, did you? Yet you're right-handed. You're a mixed-up kid.
I knew that, but
Which hand do I write with?
Left.
Which hand do you think I eat with?
You're right.
Left.
All right. Which hand do you think I use a hammer with?
Your left.
All right. Which hand do you think I use a knife with, like to carve or whittle?
right.
Huh?
Left.
Right.
Left.
So basically more like minuscule tasks.
Huh?
So basically like more like minuscule tasks, use your left.
If it's from what I'm understanding is, if it's something that I teach myself or pick up, I generally go with my left. My father was very much right-handed. Who do you think taught me to throw a ball? Who do you think taught me to use a hammer and a saw? You see? But when I pick up a knife, I put it in my left hand.
So is your left hand your dominant hand? Or would you?
The whole left-right thing is kind of iffy, the whole dominant thing. Why? Who can tell me?
Is it because you can do both hands if you try?
Why do I have the use of both hands? What did I just tell you? What's it called?
Neurological plasticity.
Yes, very good. Neurological plasticity. I learned to fence about the time I was your age. Y'all know what fencing is, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Which hand do you think I fence with?
Right hand.
Would it be left because you took it on?
I have a vote for right, I have a vote for left. The answer is actually both. The guy that taught me was a lefty. So he handed out the right-handed foils to everybody, and I learned to fight that way. Then one day I was sparring against him, and he was using his own personal foil because he's a lefty. And he was doing that to show me how difficult it is for a right-handed person to fight a left-handed fighter. And after we were done, I said, "Can I see that?" He said, "Sure." And he handed me his foil, and I noticed the curve on it. Did y'all know they have a curved handle? It's not straight. It's actually got a little S curve in it. So when you lunge, your blade is in line with your forearm. You fence?
No, like when I
Held.
was little, I used to watch a lot of like little.
Well, the curve on his foil was backwards. And I asked him, he said, "That's because it's a left-handed foil." I'm like, "Oh man, I like this. This is much better." And he realized I was a natural lefty, but I had already learned to fight right-handed. So what do you think he did? I was a secret weapon. I learned to fight both ways. And you want to talk about messing somebody up? We'd be in a match. We'd do a little, I'd step over there and they'd break, and I'd grab his foil. First time I did that, no idea how to counter. The guy just stood there. He didn't even get his foil up in guard position. He had no idea what I was doing. Neurological plasticity allows you to essentially rewire your brain. It's really strongest in young people. The younger, the better. It's not a good thing or a bad thing so much as I just want you to understand it's a thing, right? I hear some kind of squeaking.
That'd be us.
Let's say that me and Natalie each suffered a traumatic brain injury. The exact same traumatic brain injury down to the number of cells that are affected. Who is more likely to recover? Gee, thanks for the vote of confidence. It's almost like y'all learned something I was talking about. Absolutely. You would recover faster and more completely. You don't lose it. It doesn't mean I can't learn things. But have you ever noticed that older people tend to be set in their ways? I'm not sure I could train myself to text without capitalization and punctuation. And y'all laugh, which is why I said it. But it's to a degree true. Because you get comfortable doing something. Can you learn a new skill? Yes. Have you ever heard of occupational therapy? I had never heard of this until I went into the rehab facility after my illness. The physical therapy was to build my strength back. The occupational therapy was to tell me how to use it. I literally had to learn to eat again. I had to learn to walk again. Do you think it was an easy process? Mm-hmm. Made me glad I did have a degree of ambidexterity. I can actually eat and write simultaneously now. I've actually been able to do that since I was your age. I didn't realize it was something weird until one morning I'm over there at Cumberland and I'm eating my breakfast and I'm working on my notes, just skipping cereal in, writing. When that Baldwin comes over and sits with me, and I could tell Annette hadn't slept well and she hadn't had her coffee yet. And she just looks at me for a minute. And finally she says, "Stop that!" I'm like, "What?" She says, "How on earth are you eating with one hand and writing with another?" I said, "How are you not? I've got two hands." Y'all, anybody here ever play tennis? Or pickleball? What on earth is pickleball? Do you throw pickles at each other? I mean, what is it?
It's like a mix between ping pong and tennis. It's just like the medium.
Okay.
Between the two.
Ping pong is more properly called table tennis.
Yeah.
Which hand do you use when you hold a tennis racket? You raise that hand.
I don't play, but yeah, this would be the hand I'd use.
So we're all right-handers. Not me. I was a freshman in high school when I was learning the rules of tennis. If the ball comes this way, I hit it the way I'm shown, right? Well, then the coach decided she was going to change things up on us and teach us a new skill. So she hits the ball to this side. So I do the sensible thing. I only have one racket, right? But I got two hands. The sound she made was very strange. It was something between a shriek and a gurgle. And she said, "What on earth are you doing?" I said, "Returning your serve." She said, "Why did you hit it that way?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You don't have two forehands." Yeah, I do. Apparently that's not the way it's done. You're supposed to keep the tennis racket in your right hand and flip it over and do a nice backhand. So I had to learn to do it the proper way because she didn't like the look of me switching my racket.
Does neurological plasticity, does that have to tie in like where it's easier for little kids to learn different languages?
Absolutely. Because essentially what happens when you learn a skill, a piece of knowledge, a memory, you are forming a network of neurons in your brain. And I see nobody writing this down.
Oh, sorry.
I know we like to talk about the gnarly cool stuff, and I like telling you all my stories. Even if you all didn't get to hear the one about me falling off the cliff, or almost falling off the cliff. That was a pretty cool one, wasn't it? Yeah, it's on the video. What happens is you form a network, literally a series of neurons fires in a specific sequence. Now, when you think about multipolar neurons and how many dendrites they can have, you remember those? And the fact that there are 80 billion neurons in your brain, I think you can get an idea of why it's very, very difficult to figure out consciousness. You see where I'm going with this? Which is going to be stronger? A neural network that you use constantly or one you use once?
When you use constantly.
And when you're young, and this is where I'm getting to your answer, Abby, when you are that young, 2 or 3 years old, do you have a lot of experiences?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is new, isn't it? So every single thing you do fires up the network. It's Malachi. We got an amusing incident regarding you on video. I was thinking you hadn't texted me, and then I was informed that you told somebody you had texted me, so I went back looking through my texts, and I found why I missed your text, because you did send it to me, and I did receive it. I just didn't realize it was you, because when you initially texted me, you didn't capitalize your name.
Well, you just scared the crap out of me.
Because I
Yep.
wouldn't cap the letters.
What happened? Why was it on video?
Because I'm recording the lecture.
Oh. Okay.
And you are now on video saying that.
Okay. I was like, what happened?
I learned a lot of cool stuff today. I learned about Abby's second career.
He saw Anne Marie's pictures.
Oh.
Like, I didn't know you were a model. She's like, what? It randomly came up on my Facebook feed. I learned that you all randomly share your exact geographic location with total strangers, which is kind of scary. I learned that you all went to a movie theater because somebody had their location information turned on, and my spy viewed that information.
Quit calling me a spy. I was just looking.
You didn't have to report it to me.
Why don't you use that? We were talking
And
about
people
it.
ask me why I love my job. Y'all are so much fun. But again, going back to what you asked, the more you repeat a pattern, the stronger it becomes. Do you all think I have more knowledge of biology than you?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of obvious, isn't it? Which class do I use my notes for more? This one or Bio 112? Since you've had both now.
This one.
Mm-hmm. Why? Do you know? It's okay if you don't.
No, I don't.
I've only taught this class annually for the last 4 years. Before that, it had been 20 years since I had taught it. I've been teaching in some way, shape, form, or fashion for 38 years. How often do you think I have taught Bio 112 or the equivalent in that time frame? Every single semester I've taught. The reason I have to look at my notes in this one is because I don't have 38 years of experience teaching the same material with slight variations. I don't think I ever used notes in that, did I?
No.
Used to freak people out. They just walk in like, where's these notes? And I just start lecturing. I'd be know right where I left off. I'd pick it right up. It's not like with you all with this. I have to keep, and my classes are so different. I think you all can see I much prefer an interactive style. It works really good for us. That other one is rough.
I know all the lectures are so quiet and they only say like 2 words.
I told them that. They stared at me blankly. Anyway, back to the basics. When you're young, your brain isn't fully developed. It's new. It's just like fresh snowfall and you want to go sledding. First time down the hill is awesome, isn't it? Because it's fresh snow. You want to get out there early and you want to beat the neighborhood kids, don't you? Because by the second day, there's hardly any snow left on the hill because it's all been pushed or flattened or turned to ice. The neurological networks are the same way. And you all are not putting this down. Think of the very first time you sat astride a bicycle. I bet it was difficult, wasn't it? Is there anybody in here who couldn't ride a bike and maintain the balance now? Pretty cool, isn't it? You may hear of a phenomenon called muscle memory. Muscle memory. Muscle memory is kind of the opposite of neurological plasticity. Neuroplasticity is due to not having a pathway. You can immediately form a new pathway as you learn your new skill, right? Or your new knowledge. Muscle memory is a pathway that has been used so many times that the action is now instinctual almost to the point of being reflexive. And we talked about reflex arcs earlier in the lecture, so you know what I'm talking about when I say reflexive, right? Throwing a ball. I'd be willing to bet every one of us can throw a ball without thinking about it. Riding a bicycle. Writing is a skill. Muscle memory refers to repeated physical movements. Repeated physical movements. What can become a muscle memory?
Like in our own ways.
Riding a bike.
Huh?
Riding a bike.
Riding a bike is a perfect example. Literally any physical repetitive task. I've heard this as a rule. I've heard it also said as garbage, but supposedly you have to do something 10,000 times before you become an expert. If you ever were to see me out with a basketball, you all would laugh yourself silly because I hate that game.
I bowled for the first time in like 10 years today and awful. It's awful.
But I bet you got better.
A little bit, not a lot.
I used to skate when I was in high school, roller skate. My senior year at Cumberland, we had to have not one but 2 PEs, and for some reason I had never picked up the second one. So my second semester as a senior, I'm taking PE roller skating with the freshmen. And I shocked the heck out of them. Because not only could I skate, I could skate backwards. It took me a week or 2 to gain that back. But that's what muscle memory is. You've done it so many times, you've learned it. I'd be willing to bet I could put on a pair of roller skates even now and get out on a roller rink and not fall over. The very first time I learned to drive a manual shift transmission vehicle. I think I told you that story, didn't I? About my dad trying to get me to learn to drive it on a hill. And it kept rolling back and rolling back and rolling back. And finally it's halfway out in the road and he's yelling at me to get up that hill. And I rev the engine and I pop that clutch. We burn rubber and we get right up the top of the hill. And I slam the brakes and he jumps out and slams his door. What the f- are you doing? And I jumped out and I slammed those keys in the ground. He said, you drive like that, I'm never going to teach you. I said, you're teaching me, I don't ever want to learn. Because when you let the clutch out, it will stall. The engine will shut off because you're temporarily disconnecting the engine from the drive shaft. It's a delicate procedure. The first time you do it, you have no idea where the sweet spot on the clutch is. Do any of you know how to drive a manual transmission?
Not good at it, but
But I guarantee you, and I haven't owned one in 20 years, but I guarantee you, if you set one out there, I would probably do better than both of you starting off. Because I have a lot more experience. It's no slam on you. There's no need for you to have that skill at this point, is there? Would y'all like to know how I finally learned how to?
Yeah.
The next day, when my father was away, my mother said, would you like to learn to drive? And she said, I'm not your father. We're going to go to the fairgrounds. Y'all know where the fairgrounds are there. You know that big, nice, long loop that's on flat ground, no traffic. Mom says, practice till you get it. So I must have stalled that car 30 times trying to get around that loop. But then suddenly, I could feel it. Muscle memory. She let me do it for another 10 or 15 minutes, and she says, okay, we need to head home. And I said, how about I drive us there? And she said, you feel confident in it? And I said, yes, and I didn't stall it out the whole way home. That is the opposite of neurological plasticity. It is the reason for something called phantom limb syndrome. Have you all ever heard of that? When you have a limb cut off, very often people will still say they can feel that limb. What they're trying to do is fire the same pattern of neurons to effectuate a movement that they have done thousands of times before. You see where I'm going with this? Muscle memory. I'm glad you brought up bowling, Abby. Is that a good example of muscle memory?
Yeah.
If you were to get Michael Jordan, who's been retired from basketball for 20 or 25 years, and me out on a court, we're about the same age, who do you think is going to have a better shot? Well, you guys have no confidence in me at all. Of course, MJ would. And it wouldn't even be a thing of him breaking a sweat, because he has, even in a aged frame, he still has the muscle memory. Who has a faster response time, me or Malachi? Because he's younger, we're in better physical shape. The key I want you to know, though, more than anything, is that neurological plasticity decreases as you age. Does it go away?
No.
No. Remember I told you about occupational therapy. I learned to walk again at age 40. My father shattered his right elbow, and then he got Parkinson's in it. His entire range of motion was this. Literally, that's his entire range of motion. And once the Parkinson's set in, it tremored like this all the time. And when I say all the time, can you imagine trying to sleep with your arm doing this? He could. I didn't think it was real legit, so I waited until he went asleep. And I made up my mind I was going to make that arm stop jerking. My father was a big man and strong. It was like he and I were arm wrestling at full strength. He had to learn to do most of his daily activities left-handed. Do you think he succeeded? He learned to use a fork. He learned to use a razor. He learned to use a toothbrush. Did he shave his clothes after that as he did before that? No. It bothered him because he became a little bit sloppy with the eating. But my point is, it's always there because your brain basically maintains the ability to form new connections as long as you live. Everybody clear on that? Any questions about neuroplasticity? Now, this is different from learning. It's just the fact that the brain retains the ability to form new connections. It's a lifelong thing. The ease with which you can do so decreases over time. Has everyone got that in your notes? You see what I use all the time. My mother turns 85 next month. She saw just how much I use my tablet. It has become my replacement for everything. I don't buy books anymore because I download them. I don't think I've turned on a TV in probably 2 or 3 years. Stream them. Well, my mom decided, not long after I moved back in with her, that she wanted to learn how to use a tablet. After less than a week, she wanted me to go out with her to Sprawl Mart to purchase her own tablet so she wouldn't have to keep borrowing mine. She now has 4. She's got a little one, she's got her old one, she's got her new one, and then she's got my old big one. And she came in day before yesterday, hands all 4 of them to me and says, I need you to check these and update them. And I handed them right back and said, I will once you charge them. Pretty impressive though, isn't it? Now, she asked me to also take Facebook off because she found it obnoxious, which I thought you might find funny given that you all think it's only for old people. What was it you use now, InstaChat or Snaptagram or something? Do you know, y'all heard about the merger of YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook?
No.
They are merging to form a new social media platform called YouTwitface.
I was trying to think in my head what I could combine to because I knew it was a joke, but it's still.
Google YouTwitface meme, it'll come up. You won't understand the ones with Rod Serling because you don't know who Rod Serling is. Because you've never seen The Twilight Zone, have you? You never heard of The Twilight Zone, have you?
It was like a scary show, wasn't it? It's like
It was black and white, wasn't it?
It was black and white, 30 minutes, and it wasn't always scary so much as
Psychological.
psychological.
It was a
Huh.
twisted show.
Was what?
It was a twisted show.
Yeah, it was. What's that? Let's go. This also happens when you get old. Are you laughing at me?
no.
I got my glasses on. I can see what you're doing.
Hey, I'm basically blind in this eye. It's okay. I'm blind also.
Well, I have a cataract dead center in my right eye. And you're closest to me, so look in my eyes and tell me, can you tell if my right pupil is dilated compared to my left?
Just a little bit.
When I was 12 years old, I got hit in the right eye with a wrench. it ruptured all the blood vessels in the retina. You remember when we did the dissection and you saw all those blood vessels? It put so much pressure in there that they had two options. They could lay me flat on my back and let it drain naturally, which was preferred, or they would have to do surgery, or I would lose sight in the eye. So they put patches over both my eyes, put me in a hospital bed, and I had to literally lay flat. When I say flat, I mean no pillow, for a week. And you can imagine how much I read at the time because I was 12 years old. I would devour, well, I still devour 2 or 3 books a week.
Wow.
I don't watch TikTok. I can sit and watch an entire 2 or 3 hour program and keep my attention focused. Different experiences though, right? And that's the serious point. Where was I going with this? Y'all let me down this rabbit trail. Oh, talking about being blind. It happens, you get over, you break down.
I'm a lazy eye.
But the thing is, do you think you could compensate better for being blind in one eye than I would?
Yeah.
You most certainly would, because you have neuroplasticity. It's pretty amazing when you think about it, isn't it? The real problem is the brain is so complicated. We just don't know what connection does what.
So,
Okay, I think you were first.
yeah, she's got it.
Well, what they made me do, because I was born with it, and when I was 6, they tried to give me an eye patch so my eye would like strengthen itself.
Mhm.
It just ended up not working. Does that kind of tie into that?
Yeah,
Like you're right.
absolutely. You had a question.
So the learning, so the neuroplasticity is the ability to keep those things and keep,
It's the ability to form new connections.
yes, and learning is how easily that comes to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
good job. So biology comes easier to me than it does you. Simply because I have been reading about biology, I have been doing biology, I have been studying biology for decades. Doesn't mean I'm smarter than you, doesn't mean I'm better than you, it just means I've learned more than you because I've had more chances to. Does that make sense? Now, neuroplasticity comes in to obtaining a new skill, a new knowledge. Who's going to have an easier time of learning a new language, me or you?
Me.
Because your brain is still developing, you still have an easier path to making new connections.
When does the development stop again?
About 25.
23 for females, right?
I think it's 23 for females, 25. But you think you've got 80 billion neurons in your brain. Think of those multipolar neurons and how many dendrites they had. Now imagine how many potential connections they are. There's no way a computer can do that.
And okay, I have a question. Whenever they say developing, because with this you're saying the brain, like it never stops those connections. Like it's slower and whatnot, but it doesn't stop. So what does the actual development mean? Like the
It means your brain is literally still growing.
okay, so like the literal like size.
You are
of it.
literally forming new brain tissue.
Okay.
I am not. Becca's like, man, he's getting senile. Yes, I am, because they only have 80 billion of them and they go. Question?
No.
I've already got an hour and 15 minutes of lecture down. I think that's sufficient. Y'all agree?
Mm-hmm.